Since ancient times, the ocean has nurtured life. Beneath its blue and beautiful surface lies a vast sea floor, often called Earth's final frontier. Humanity has explored only about 10% of the ocean, and the rest remains shrouded in mystery. The deepest place on Earth is the Challenger Deep in the Mariana Trench. However, until well into the 21st century, fewer people had reached its bottom than had walked on the moon. So, what would you find if you fell into this uncharted realm? And what would you experience after plummeting more than 10,000 meters underwater? Today, let's explore what happens if you fall into the deepest point of the Mariana Trench. The trench lies east and south of Guam in the Pacific Ocean. A light continental plate collides with a heavier oceanic plate here, causing the denser oceanic plate to sink and form Earth's deepest trench. The southern part, the Challenger Deep, reaches a depth of roughly 11,000 meters. Now, let's imagine falling all the way down. At 0 meters, you can obviously survive without any special equipment. But don't relax, this spot is over 300 kilometers from the nearest land. Without gear, exhaustion will eventually overtake you and you'll become part of the sea. Or you might be eaten by sharks. In the shallow zone, sunlight penetrates the water, allowing phytoplankton to photosynthesize. Zooplankton and small fish gather to feed on them, and larger animals feed on those. This creates an ecosystem powered by sunlight. This sunlit region is called the photic zone, usually from the surface down to 80 to 100 meters. About 90% of all marine life lives in the upper 200 meters. So during your descent, you'll see many sea creatures. But below 200 meters, darkness and loneliness await. As you fall deeper, the surroundings grow darker. Water seems transparent, but it absorbs visible light very well. At just 10 meters deep, half of the visible light has already vanished. At 100 meters, only about 1% remains. Darkness increases, and so does pressure. Every additional 10 meters adds 1 atmosphere of pressure. Some might think you only need an oxygen tank to dive deep, but that idea collapses just tens of meters down. To breathe at depth, your tank must release high-pressure gas, but high-pressure nitrogen acts like anesthesia, causing nitrogen narcosis. You may feel euphoric, drunk, silly, or even lose awareness that you're underwater entirely. At 200 meters, you've barely traveled 1/50th of the total depth. From here, down to 1,000 meters, is the mesopelagic zone, the twilight zone. Sunlight barely reaches it. At 200 meters, water temperature is nearly the same as the surface, and pressure is about 20 atmospheres. But by 1,000 meters, the temperature drops to 5 degrees Celsius, and pressure reaches 100 atmospheres. Both oxygen and plankton, the foundation of food, become scarce. Life still exists here. Glowing jellyfish, gigantic squid, and creatures adapted to eternal darkness. Some species, like lanternfish, migrate daily between deep waters and the surface, playing key roles in transporting organic matter downward. But deeper still, life becomes rare. From 1,000 to 4,000 meters lies the bathypelagic zone, the midnight zone. No light reaches this region at all. No organisms can bring organic matter down from the photic zone, and photosynthesis is impossible. Below this layer, marine snow organic particles drifting down like flakes accumulates. Creatures here either abandon eyesight entirely or evolve bioluminescence to lure prey. Anglerfish live in this region. Still, you're unlikely to encounter any animals unless you offer bait like a dead fish. Deep sea creatures must save energy. Oxygen is low, and food is unpredictable. At around 4,000 meters, pressure reaches 400 atmospheres. Below this depth, calcium carbonate, which forms shells and exoskeletons, dissolves in seawater. So, shell-bearing organisms cannot survive, and the seafloor becomes rich in clay and silica instead. But you're heading even deeper. At 6,000, 7,000 meters, you enter the hadopelagic zone, named after Hades, the Greek god of the underworld. Only a few places on Earth reach this extreme depth, mainly the Mariana Trench. To reach the bottom, you must descend more than 4,000 meters deeper. Here, pressure becomes so immense that even proteins and cell membranes struggle to function. Fish cannot live below 8,500 meters. And yet, incredibly, A species of shrimp lives here, using aluminum to reinforce its shell and prevent dissolution. It's entirely possible that other life forms beyond our imagination survive down here. Finally, you reach the bottom, the Challenger Deep, at around 11,000 meters. The pressure is 1,100 atmospheres, the temperature is 4 degrees Celsius, and no sunlight reaches this realm. Even in this hellish environment, shrimp, sea cucumbers, and countless microorganisms live on the sea floor. How was your journey to 11,000 meters below the surface? If you enjoyed this video, be sure to subscribe for more deep dive content